All right, you guys, I am so excited, really excited for this week because I actually have a really special friend. Me and her worked together. I'm hoping she'll come back to Old Navy anyway.
Yes.
I absolutely love and adore her. And I only heard bits and pieces of her story because I've wanted to interview her and hear her full on story. So I'm super excited that we finally got a time. Holidays were crazy, but we got a time and I'm so excited to sit down and talk with her. So I have Lonnie and I'm super excited to hear her story because it's just, she's a fellow adoptee. I should probably mention that as well. But I'm really, really excited to hear her story. So I will go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Okay, so, oh gosh, like where to begin? Well, I'll begin at the beginning. So I was adopted as a baby. I think my mom said I was like 2 or 3 days old. They lived in Utah. Well, we live in Utah. They drove to California, picked me up, brought me home. So I was only like a few days old. But my whole growing up, I looked nothing like my family. But my parents always told me I was adopted. I've always known that for as long as I can remember. But as I got older, like when I was a teenager and stuff like that, I always thought, I wonder where where I came from, who my birth mother, who my birth father is, because I look nothing like my family. I want to know who I looked like. I think that was my main thing. I want to know who I looked like. Anyway, so I asked my parents about, my birth family, and they said, "Oh, you don't need to know. You're ours now. You don't need to know about that. Just no information, none whatsoever." Well, after I got married, and kind of went, as I was having my kids and stuff, those feelings kind of crept up again, like. I wonder, my kids look a lot like me. Do I look a lot like my birth mother? I don't know why that was such a big thing. It's who I looked like, because my kids looked a lot like me. And again, I asked my parents every once in a while, I'd like to really find my birth family. And they didn't even want to talk about it. It was just we didn't want to discuss it. You're ours. You don't need to know any of that. They never gave me a birth certificate. Never had my birth certificate. In fact, to this day, I still don't have a birth certificate. Anyway, there came a time when I actually lost my driver's license. And so when I went to get my driver's license, they said, we have to have a birth certificate in order to give you another one. And I said, I don't have one. So I went to my parents. And by this point, my parents are older. Let me back up just a little bit. My dad was 50 years old when they adopted me. They adopted me and my brother, who is a year older than me. So they had 2 babies when they were like old, like a lot older, which is crazy. Anyway, let me get back to anyway, they were older. So when I lost my driver's license, I asked them for my birth certificate and they said, "Oh, we don't have it." I said, "You have to have it. You have to have a birth certificate." I think they just didn't want me to have it because they didn't want me looking for my birth family. Well, my parents both passed away. My dad about 12 years ago, my mother about 7 years ago. And once they passed away, I thought, well, there's probably boxes or files in their house somewhere. I'm sure it's in one of those files, or adoption papers or anything like that. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Found nothing on me. So I even tried sending off to California, gave them my information, gave them my parents' names, the date I was born, because I knew what county I was born in because it came up on other church records and stuff. They sent me back things. They said, we can't find anything with your parents' names or anything. So I was just like, I don't know where to go, like nothing. Anyway, so they passed on. We went through their house, couldn't find anything. I was kind of like, I felt lost, although I had an amazing family. I had a great family. But still had that feeling of still wanted to know, about this other part of my life. So my daughter, my sweet daughter, bought me a ancestry DNA kit about three or four, maybe it was 4 years ago for Christmas. So anyway, I did the test, sent it in, didn't hear anything back for months. And then all of a sudden I get this notification one day that they had matched me with a first cousin. So it was pretty close relative. And so I messaged them, didn't hear anything back for a few days. And finally I got a message back saying, so my name is Dave, but it's my wife. I'm running my wife's account for her. This is her DNA. And she had a brother that had a baby when he was in high school, or had a baby with a baby girl. And so he's most likely your birth father. So they gave me his name, his phone number, and they messaged him and he said to go ahead and call him. So that first phone call was just crazy. And it was him. And it was just, I'm going to get emotional now. It was just the best conversation. And he's the sweetest man, and he's so kind. He never had it. Well, he had one other child with a lady years after me. So he's got 2 daughters, but they had a falling out. So they don't talk anymore. So basically I'm it for him as far as children. And then when he found out I had all these kids and grandbabies and stuff, he was just like a whole new world had opened up for him. And so, so it was kind of crazy and it was amazing. And then he told me about my birth mother. He told me who she was. We actually stalked her on Facebook because she was on Facebook. My birth father is not on Facebook. Birth mother is. So we found her. My daughter actually ended up messaging her daughter because she had messaged my birth mother, but didn't get a response back. So she tried messaging her daughter. Her daughter's name is Jody. And she messaged Jody, and Jody just came unglued. She started crying. She was just emotional. She said, we have wanted to find you forever, because I guess my birth mother had told the kids that she had this baby and put it up for adoption. So the kids always knew they had a sister out there somewhere, because she had 4 children after me. And so it was really an emotional time. We talked to her, and then Jody her daughter got a hold of her and said, so this is your little baby girl that you gave up. We've been talking to her. Do you want to talk to her? How do you want this to work? Excuse me. And she was all open to, so again, that first phone call was amazing. I was sitting there working at my job, and I get this phone call from her, and we talked for like a half hour, cried. And she just said, I was like 17 when I had you. We were just young. My mom made me give you away. Anyway, so it was a good story. And come to find out, my birth father and birth mother had stayed friends. They've been friends all these years. Like they'd visit each other, they'd text each other, they'd get on the phone and catch up with each other. They stayed friends their whole lives. They're still friends. In fact, look at this. This is a picture of the 2 of them. They met up on a vacation and took a picture together later in life. And they'd write letters. I mean, she's got letters, she's got pictures, they'd exchange pictures, which I think is really cool that they stay friends. She always said that he was her first love. But they never ended up getting married or anything, obviously. here's the fun part I told you about. So my birth mother had a baby before me, so that she gave up for adoption. So she had a baby at 15, gave it up for adoption. She had me when she was 17, gave it up for adoption. Then I think she started her family, she got married and started her family with her 4 other children when like a year or 2 later. Guess who I got a message from today? It's crazy. I get this message from this gal on Facebook today that says, this is really random, but my mother, I did the ancestry DNA test and you come up as a first cousin. And she said, my mother was adopted in Orange County. That's where she was born. And she said, I don't know if you can shed any light on this or something. And I went, oh my gosh, this is that baby, that first baby that my birth mother had. Sadly, her mother passed away back in 2017. And so this is her daughter. So that's my niece that messaged me. And she wants to know all about the family. And she wants to know about her grandmother, and she wants to get to know the family members because she's it. I guess her mother passed away, her brother passed away, and the people that adopted her have passed away. So she's it. I think this is such a good thing for her because now she has this family, Anyway, anyway, that's a cool part. So after we talked on the phone, we arranged a meeting. We got a visit from my birth father, got to meet him. He got to meet all the grandkids. We have pictures. He was blown away, like this is from me, all these, me and the grandkid and the kids and the grandkids. And he said, it's just so fun that I'm a great grandfather, that I'm a grandfather. Just kind of changed his life a little bit because he didn't think he had any descendants, and so we had a really good meeting with him. He's a fantastic person. I look a lot like him. I look a lot like him when we were younger. I look more like my birth mother now, but when we were younger, I looked a lot like him. So that was fun. We finally got to meet birth mother. Me and my daughter took a trip up to Washington, where she lives, met her, met the family, met the siblings. And that was really a good experience to get to know all of them. We still get along all of us get along great. We send things to each. In fact, me and my half sister, we do an ornament exchange at Christmas, which is kind of fun. We had that visit, and then my birth father lives in Colorado. So he makes the trip down through Colorado, stops here in Utah to visit us, and then he goes and visits his family in California. Patty, my birth mother, lives in Washington. And so between birth father, birth mother, we've had several visits. She came to stay with us and some of the family members I think last summer. Yeah, last summer she stayed for about 2 or 3 weeks. So she got to know all the kids. We have pictures with the kids. She's a very loving woman, very hippie. And it's funny because I am very hippie and I always have been. So I think that's kind of weird, but she's like, my birth parents are just hippies to the core. It explains so much. Because I've always been that way, like, hey, what's up? But yeah, just great people, and we have a great relationship. And it's funny because my son just re-enlisted in the Army, and he's being based in Colorado Springs, where my birth father lives. So that will be kind of fun because he can get to see the grandkids and get to know Sam better. Anyway, it's I'm trying to think of what else other than this whole experience today is just fantastic. I'm so excited to share the information that I've learned from meeting my birth mother. And in fact, I have a cousin that lives back east in Michigan and in New York. They send me information about families. The family, he does a lot of genealogy. He sends me pictures. He sends me stories. He sends me, I found this person and I found that person. It's just so cool to see your ancestors from that side. And they just, when they found out that I was part of the family, they just took me right in, no hesitation, just like, oh, hey, cousin, I'm just part of the family now. And it's just been so great to share. We have this whole big family now from all over the place because we share that DNA. So
no, I love that. And I love that you have such a good relationship with your birth dad, because I feel like birth dads aren't really known when adoptees try and seek out parents. It's really just like their birth moms. So I think that's amazing. And I love how just loving and welcoming they've been, because a lot of cases aren't like that. And so
I know
it's just beautiful. And I love that bless her heart, having everybody pass away close to her, but that she felt to reach out to you and be like, hey, let's get to know each other. And just the type of person that you are, you're just so loving and welcoming. No, you really are. That it's like, she probably is just, it's going to be great. And she'll just morph into your family. And you know what I mean? It's just going to be awesome.
Oh,
so
I know.
love that.
And it's interesting because I remember feeling what she's feeling right now. And it's kind of overwhelming and amazing all at the same time. I tried not to overwhelm her a little bit. I didn't want to jump right in, but I said, at the end of one of the messages I said, you're my niece. I mean, I was like, oh, because I think, she doesn't have her mom now. And I mean, don't we need our moms? Yes. And I hope, like I got on the phone and called my daughter because I was so excited. And she goes, oh, I want to get to know her. And I mean, she's so excited to be able to share and to get to know her and involve her in our family. And it's just.
No, I love that so much. And I also love that you acknowledge, because I know with some adoptees, they could care less where they came from. They could care less what any of their family is. But I was like you, like I kind of always wondered, and I never really I never talked to my parents like you did about it though, until I was older and married. And then I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. So I can completely feel your feelings on wanting to know where you come from, wanting to see what people like. That's one thing that, is hard. I think the hardest thing for me being an adoptee is I didn't have anybody around me, because I mean, my whole family's Caucasian. I mean, I know you are with them, but you know what I mean? But you look so much different. So it's just like, it's hard. And then to find them and to see I love that they're so hippie like you are. Like, there's just something that completes you when you find that kind of stuff. And it's weird.
I'm going, that really makes sense now.
And I love that. No, I love that so much. And I just love how do your siblings, so in your adoptive family, do you have did you say you had another brother that was adopted, right? Is that what that's what you said?
So there's 9 of us.
Wow. So how do they still feel with you finding, because I know your parents are passed away. Are they?
They have been so incredibly supportive. Awesome. Because we grew up in a family. I call them my mother and father because they are my mother and father. So my mother and father were both married back before they found each other. My father's wife passed away in an accident. His wife and his son were killed in an accident. And my mother was pregnant and got a divorce. I'm not sure the situation there, but then they got together. My dad had 3 children from his marriage. My mom had the one son. So we have a family of yours, mine, ours, and then some. So with 9 of us. So I think they're just very understanding because we had families that came from different places, but we all love each other and we're all very supportive. And they've always been very supportive, but my family is my family. I mean, this other extension of my family will never replace my family, my brothers, my sisters, my mom, my dad. You know, that's why I say mom and dad and my birth father and birth mother, because I think moms and dads earn that right to be called mom and dad. You know, it's a lot of work.
No, I love it so much. I love it. Oh, I just love it. And like I said, I've never really heard your story. Like the most you kind of told me is that you found him after your mom and dad had passed away. So that is just amazing. And I just love, because my favorite thing about it is like, there's just more love. The more people you have in your life, there's just more love. And it's my
totally
favorite. Yeah.
And you know what? Why not?
Agreed. Oh, 100% agreed. Like that's where I'm like, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more people in their life to like have them love you and for you to love them? Like, it's just the best thing ever. Like, right. I love it. Do you have, oh no, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say, what advice would you have for adoptees who like felt the same way, like wanting to find, seeking people out and maybe not having support, or just like share some of your thoughts there with like looking for your birth family?
I think if you have that feeling inside of you, like mine was just burning. I always wanted to know where I came from. Did I have ancestors from Germany? Did I have ancestors from Australia? I mean, you know, I just want to know. But then, especially when my kids were born, they looked a lot like me. And I'm thinking, I wonder, then it really hit me, especially when you have kids. But I'm just saying, if you have that burning desire, do whatever you can to find out. And you know what? Maybe it won't be a good situation. Maybe you'll find out that I always thought, you know, what if I find out that my birth mother is living on the street somewhere, or she's in jail, or she murdered somebody? There's that possibility of finding out that, oh, they're not who I thought they or hoped they would be. There's always that chance. And maybe they don't want anything to do with me. Maybe you send them a message and they're going, you know what, that part of my life is behind me, past. Thanks, but no thanks. But you have to prepare yourself for either of those situations. Mine turned out really good, but some don't. I've heard some horror stories, honestly. But you have to prepare yourself for either scenario, I think. You know, it's best for you to prepare yourself.
Which is hard and scary, because I remember doing that, because nobody wants to be rejected, like not just by family, but nobody wants to be rejected with anything that they're going into. So like go and be like, you know, yeah.
You're right. Because there's a little teeny part of me that when you're adopted, obviously there was a reason why they couldn't keep you, is either because they were too young, but I didn't know that at the time, or maybe they didn't want. To me, for a while there, I felt like I wasn't wanted, you know, especially when I was younger. Well, they didn't want me, so they gave me away. That's hard. That's a hard pill for kids, I think. But as I got older, and especially now that I know the circumstances, you know, and I look at these, if I see a cute little young teenager that gets pregnant, and my heart goes out to them, because I just think, you know, you can't help what happened, but you know, and so I think we have a whole different outlook when you've been through it. You can be more understanding, more compassionate, more.
Well, and I love that you said that, because I interviewed a birth mom a couple weeks ago, and it's just like, I feel like these young moms, sometimes they get looked down and they get shamed upon, because it's like, oh, you got pregnant when you were so young. And it's like, well, you should adopt. And adoption may not be like in their story, and that's totally fine, but there's no reason there's any shame that should come upon these moms if they get
No,
pregnant, ever,
none at all.
whether they're 30 and want to give a baby up for adoption, or whether, you know, they're 15. Like, you
Right.
just have to, yeah, I know that's tough, but oh yeah, no, and I love that you said that.
I look at it like, for me, my own personal feeling is, if someone's giving a baby up for adoption, they're doing the most selfless thing that they possibly can, because they're giving up that child of theirs so that that child can have a better life. So to me, I don't know how they would even, I look at my kids and I go, how could you do that? But to me, that's so selfless, because you're putting everything you want aside for the better of your child. And to me, that's, oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, I
So,
agree 100% with you on that, especially having your own kids. It's just like, wow, I can't, you know, just the strength that they had to like do that. So it's so
right.
amazing.
Right.
Anything else you want to share?
Um, I just, again, if you have that want to try and find, and some people don't, like you said, some people have no interest in that. But if you do, then go for it. Try so many things. I mean, I had nothing to go on. Like, literally, I sent to California, they couldn't find anything on me. Nothing. So this DNA kit was the last, my last straw, basically. And luckily something came out of it. And this experience today was from the ancestry DNA. They linked me with this girl, and now we've connected. And it's just, it's amazing that they have this out there now. So cool. So cool.
No, I love that. Seriously, thank you for taking some time. I know you're like in the transition of moving and all those fun things. And so I really appreciate you taking some time out of your night to do this, because
Yeah.
I've been dying to listen to your story, but like holidays, I know were crazy for me and for you. And so I'm just so glad we were able to sit down and talk about it. So
Oh, well, I'm
thank
glad you
you.
kept up on me. I know we said, hey, after the holidays, but I'm so glad, because I'm happy to share. I tell my story quite a bit to people, and I feel blessed that my story has a really good, happy ending, and has so much good that come out of it, because sometimes they just don't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. That's how I feel too. So my heart goes out to those adoptees that it's not what, you know, they imagined. And it's hard, because then you're like, oh, well, mine's good, but yeah, anyway. So, but seriously, thank you so much for sharing that. And I
You're
just,
very, very welcome.
thank you.